What life experiences have you had that would make you a good MP?
Well, I believe growing up here locally in Tauranga, specifically on Matakana Island, raised in quite a large family. My parents had always raised us in such a way where character, good morals and values, good work ethics, and it was definitely about the character rather than the colour of your skin that would get you into places or go places. So in transitioning that to today, I believe that for my wife and I, who we've been happily married for 18 years, raising our 3 beautiful children, we've tried to instill that same morals, values, work ethics, attitude, character within their lives as well. And I believe that goes a long way to, with what we're dealing with in the current climate of our nation. Families are a huge heart of, or my heart is families, and so I believe I have the experience to work with families. Also, on the ground level, I work alongside a program called Man Up, which is very successful in changing men's lives from dysfunctional living, from offending or crime committing men, jail for most of these men, to now being positive contributors towards their families as well as community. Also, I created a program, a youth mentoring program, which I saw was a need based upon a lot of young people falling through the education system. I actually studied to be a teacher, so it's always been a passion of mine to not only teach but to example. And so unfortunately it didn't finish my teaching degree, but in saying that, it never left me to be able to teach what I've learnt throughout life. Also sports, rugby was a huge part of my life, so travelling the world, so to speak, playing rugby. And I do believe that through life's experiences I have the ability to be a great MP, the best MP that Tauranga's ever had, to be honest, Miles, that's what I believe.
What are you going to do to make yourself the best MP?
Well, I believe it's not necessarily about making promises, to be honest, and we hear that every election, promises after promises. I believe it's what you've proven already. So I see myself as the middle ground, to be honest, and people might say, well, that's dangerous, the middle ground, because not much happens in the middle ground. But for uniting a nation that I believe is being divided, I believe I have the ability to work with both Māori and European. And
so you're about uniting New Zealand,
yep.
but you were involved in the anti-mandate,
yep.
and maybe anti-vaccination movements.
Yep. Oh.
So those were quite divisive. Mm-hmm. How can you say you're going to unite New Zealand when that was such a divisive movement that you were part of?
Well, I'd correct that in saying anti, because it was pro-choice really. At the end of the day, it was a choice that I was making and others were making their choices for, whether they stood for, taking the vaccination or not. What I believe is that even our government made a decision on causing disunity by saying there were 2 levels created. You had your anti-vax level and then you had the vaccination. So it wasn't us that was creating division, there was a government that started creating a lot of division around this.
A lot of the people who were anti-mandate and anti-vaccination were quite abusive towards others, and also Jacinda Ardern.
Yep.
Were you part of that?
No, I don't believe I was one of the ones that, and I know what you're talking about because I saw it, and I heard it, and but I do think there were a crowd or a certain amount of people that were ones that were starting fires, talking online and all of that. So there, and I think you get that in any group, to be honest. There's ones that are just over the top.
So you were one of the people who might have called her Cindy?
No, I saw a lot of those signs though, and I think for me I still had that respect, and that's something that my parents raised us in, and again I come back to these morals and values. And as much as it hurt, at the time, because it was like, I had no choice at that time, when the mandates came in, and again I lost my youth mentoring business because of the mandates, because I worked within the high schools, and so it hit me just as much as it hit anybody else. So I've always looked at it from that perspective that, respect has always been something that I've always had with people. Doesn't mean that you have to agree with people, but I do believe that there still needs to be respect on all levels.
So what are the biggest issues in Tauranga for you?
I think for me, I believe one, democracy is a big one, and I do believe that that's something that is happening currently, where a lack of democracy or the voice of the people, so to speak, are not being heard from local government.
So you think the commissioners are not good for Tauranga?
Well, I don't believe so. I believe it's undemocratically elected commissioners. I believe there should have been a democratic process.
So you believe in democracy even if it's not working?
Well, no, I do believe that there has to be a point where change needs to happen. And I suppose this is what I'm trying to say is that this goes right across the board, even into Parliament today, where if somebody's not doing the job, then I believe this is where, people need to be honest with themselves to say, well, if I'm not fit for the purpose, then let's get you out of there and get somebody in there that can do the job.
But no one's going to fire themselves.
No. So how do we?
But also there's different skill sets involved in, being the executive or the CEO of a large organisation,
yep.
the government,
yep.
and working on the ground level with people.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, everything about politics is about results, getting results. So, you go in there to make a change for something or to do better for something or to take the voice of your electorate to Parliament for the benefit of what has been asked from your electorate. So, I believe it's always been about, producing results when it comes to politics.
Okay, what are some other big issues in Tauranga?
Homelessness is another one. I think there's been a blind eye turned to homelessness and it's growing. Walking around our city or just going around our city, you're seeing it a lot more. People sleeping in their cars and tents, and I know this is, right across the nation as well and around the world, to be honest. Law and order is another big one. I believe law is too soft on a lot of things. There's no consequences, so to speak, when crime is committed. It's a little bit of like a slap on the hand type of thing, and I know that because I'm working with men that have a record of reoffending. And a lot of these men, ones that haven't done it 1, 2, 3, these guys have done 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and it's like a game to them, and so they're like, oh, I'll go away for a little bit and come back out, and and that's what I'm, I suppose, referring to. And
do you think locking them up for longer is going to make it better?
Well, no, it'll go back to the home. It goes back to the root issue of the offending. The crime that has been committed. So there's always obviously a root issue and a lot of it comes back to generational stuff, and I'm sure you're aware of that, generational things that women have grown up in, gang life, it's the environment, all of that thing. So I do believe that having good programs like Man Up Legacy, there's another great program called Grace Foundation. These programs are doing amazing work within our community. And I do believe that they need to be funded and resourced. So
how do we get young people interested in politics?
I think first and foremost it's engaging or being able to, for them to be comfortable to engage with you. That's been a comment that I've received from a group of young people that I spoke with a couple of weeks, or last week actually, and they said unless you can reach us or connect with us, it's hard for us to engage with you. So I think that in itself answers the question.
So that means younger candidates?
Yeah, I suppose in general it means, having younger candidates that are passionate about politics, being able to speak within their own age group. But then again, I look 18, so they engage.